YouTube. Welcome to Learning with Uncle Sam. Our word of wisdom today says that your beginning does not determine how your end will be like. Yes, the way you begin does not determine how your end is going to be like. You might not begin well, but you end well. You might begin well and might not end well. So take note of this and see you on the other side. So welcome back. Before we delve into our poem, I believe it's proper we know a little bit about our poet for today. So who is Kwabena acquah? Kwabena acquah is a lawyer and a poet born in Winneba, Ghana. He was a fellow and past president of the Ghana Association of Writers. His work as a poet has been appreciated all over the world, and as such, his works are studied in universities and schools all over the world. He's also known to be a member of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. All right, so this is just a little bit about our author, Kwabena acquah. Now, for our poetry appreciation, we'll be looking at some key things we'll be looking at from the poem. So before we go further on, I want to say that this poem, WREATH of Tears, is actually a study poem for basic schools in Ghana. It's a study poem for basic schools in Ghana. So these are what we'll be looking at with our poem. So key areas to consider will be that we'll be doing a commentary or analysis of the poem, A WREATH of Tears. Then we'll also be looking at issues raised in the poem. We'll look at the theme of the poem. Then we'll take a look at some literary devices or figures of speech. But before then, let's look at the poem. Let's go through the poem. It's a very lovely poem, and I believe you will enjoy it. So, A WREATH of Tears. Your funeral was so quiet and small, almost too small, it is said, for a man of your stature. You must have preferred it that way, having buried so many yourself, and knowing as you did how private grief must be, how loss remains at the end personal. We would have sent flowers, but seeing how they had fallen callously into disrepute, and not wanting to offend, we did not. Instead, from the garden of memory, suddenly blooming as with first rains, we plucked with care a rose here, an ivy there, ferns, lilies, chrysanthemums, and drop by tearful drop, we wove a wreath from our personal loss. We wear it around our hearts privately. It will outlast any tombstone, and you would have preferred it that way. So basically, this is what our poem is about. So the first thing we are going to do is to look at the commentary or analysis of the poem. But also, if you want a copy of this poem, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can download this poem and go through it yourself. So the commentary I've summarized into these points. So the first point is that this poem is talking about the stature of people and funerals in Africa. It's a known fact in Africa that we take funerals very seriously, unlike other parts. I believe every part of the world takes funerals very seriously, but in Africa, funerals are taken very seriously, and the way your funeral is done depends on your stature in society. So if you look at lines from 1 to 6 in the poem, it tells us that our poet was one of great stature. Okay, he was a very prominent person, but then people were expecting that his funeral would be prominent as well. But then we realized that he willed that his funeral should not be prominent, it should be an ordinary funeral. So let's take lines 1 to 6 and see. Your funeral was so quiet and small, almost too small, it is said, for a man of your stature. So that is why I'm saying that the person the poet is referring to here was a man of great stature. Okay, now if you and was expected that his funeral would be great, but lo and behold, it wasn't so. Okay, this is very prominent in African societies where people of stature, their funerals are done extravagantly for others to admire or for others to know that yes, this is a person of stature. Okay, you must have preferred it that way. That is line 5 and 6. So this clearly tells us that our character or the one being referred in this poem preferred it that way. Okay, you must have preferred it that way. Okay, having buried so many yourself and knowing as you did how private grief must be, how loss remains at an end, personal. Okay, so this also goes to tell us that this character our poet is talking about was not just a man of prominence, but he had buried many people. Okay, now this could be in two forms. Either he was a clergy, that is a priest, or he had lost loved ones before. He has lost several loved ones before. So either he was a clergy who had buried people per religion, or personally he had lost what loved ones. So instead of making his funeral a fanfare, he chose to make it simple because at the end, grief is a personal thing. No matter the people who come around us, no matter the people who come to share our sorrows, at the end, they all leave us and we'll be alone in the house. And that is when the reality hits you. So at the end, grief is a sorrow. Grief is a sorrow. Now, something we must also take note is that is the use of the first person narrative here. You realize that the poet continues using the first person, referring to the character, see if he or she, let me say, the first person narrative. So this is a belief in the life after death. Okay, we believe in the life after death. Every society in Africa believes in life after death. So it is with this regard, that is how funerals are organized in Africa. So they are done in a way that with a belief that the person moving to the afterlife will have a good welcome or will be sent off better. That is what is there. Okay, then another thing is that this poem tells us that death is inevitable. Death is inevitable. So from line 7 to 11, we get to know that death is inevitable. Okay, the poet's, the character had buried many people. He had buried many people. He had lost many people, but now he's finally gone himself, which tells us that life is what? Inevitable. The next point is disagreements in burial rights. This is very, very true. Okay, so lines 12 to 16. We would have sent flowers, but seeing how they had fallen callously into disrepute and not wanting to offend, we did not. So here's a case they are saying that they would have sent flowers, but they did not because there was a disrepute. So it's possible that there had been an argument over how these funerals should have been conducted. Many were offended, so at the end, some decided not to go attend the funeral. Some went, but did not go with flowers. It happens in almost any social gathering or function, and funerals are no exceptions. So, A Wreath of Tears, which is the title of the poem, is very prominent from the 18th to 19th parts of the poem. Okay, now we get to know that what kind of wreaths are woven with from the garden of memory. We know that wreaths are woven with flowers, but the line tells us that, let me just go over it. Instead, from the garden of memory, suddenly blooming as with first rains, we plucked with care a rose here and ivy there, ferns, lilies, chrysanthemums, and drop by a tearful drop, we wove a wreath from our personal loss. So the wreath being spoken here is not about natural flowers. It's just grief, the grief of losing someone precious is the wreath being referred here. Of course, you can't weave flowers from your memory. Okay, so it's just referring to um, the sorrow of losing someone precious, which is very true. To weave a wreath, to weave a wreath with tears and wear it around the heart is heavily figurative. It is not literal but metaphoric. You can weave a wreath with flowers and wear it on your neck. Okay, wear it on your neck. Thus, the poet uses a colorful expression to convey his message. Okay, so from the title, A Wreath of Tears, that will outlast any tombstone. The grief that will be felt will outlast any physical flowers. It will outlast any tombstone. The real grief weighs down the heart, not in outward expression, but deep down the heart. Flowers will fade, tombstones will crack and disintegrate, but what is kept in the heart will affect the individual mourners, possibly personally, and stay there forever. So all in all, this poem, The Wreath of Tears, is talking about losing the precious one. Now, this poem by kwabena acquah is dedicated to a prominent man in society, in the Ghanaian society, who is known as Osofopong S.B. Esamwa. In Dakan language, Osofopong means Reverend Minister or Reverend Father. So Osofopong was a Reverend Father. He was a priest, a clergyman whom passed away. So this poem is a tribute to this Reverend Father whom the poet knew. So this is a tribute poem talking about what might have happened at this Reverend Father's funeral. He's a man of stature, a man who had buried so many, but all of a sudden he's gone. Many had thought his funeral would be a great fanfare in town. Lots of flowers, many people showing up. But unfortunately, he had willed that his funeral should be the simplest society will ever see. It brought about disputes because of family members, friends who would have wanted to show the stature of this man in his funeral, as is expected in most African societies. But unfortunately, that is not what the man willed for. So those who wanted to send flowers because of this argument or disagreement about the funeral arrangement couldn't send physical flowers, but rather they felt the grief in them. Okay, I hope I've tried well to give a commentary of this poem. Okay, now let's look at the issues raised in the poem. The issues raised in the poem. So issues raised in the poem, one is that the nature and cost of funerals and the repercussions. Okay, I made mention that in Africa, I don't know of other parts of the world, but in Africa, people invest heavily in funerals. People invest heavily in funerals. Some can even sell their properties just to conduct a funeral. Okay, and these have repercussions. These have repercussions. We saw how people grieved, how there was disagreement over the funeral arrangement. Okay, now another issue raised is the effects of losing a loved one on the family and individual. Like I made mention earlier on, people will come to sympathize with you, people will come to share your sorrows with you, they might stay with you for a year to how many years, but you at the end the grief is personal. You are going to feel it more than anyone. So the effects comes on you personally. All those people who be around will leave finally. So the grief is with you personally. Another issue is disagreements are bound to happen in social gatherings. So yes, disagreements are bound to happen. So far there are human beings around, there will be disagreement. Okay, so these are some of the issues raised in the poem. Now let's look at the theme of the poem. And the theme of the poem some goes with the issues raised in the poem. So grief is a personal thing despite solidarity from family and friends. I've explained that. Disagreements occur during any social gathering or functions. I've explained that as well. Then finally, death is inevitable. Everybody will face it. Whether you are high in society, you are low in society, those with good stature, those with bad stature, those with high stature, those with low stature, death is inevitable. Now, let's look at the literary devices used in the poem. The literary devices used in the poem, or the figures of speech used in the poem. So the first thing we'll be looking at is the use of a metaphor. Looking at the use of the metaphor in the poem, the use of the metaphor in the poem. From the garden of memory, from the garden of memory, from the garden of memory. This is very metaphoric. What does the poet refer to as from the garden of memory? The garden is not a normal garden where flowers grow, but memory or experience. That's creating a metaphor. It's talking about our memories or our experience. It's not a physical garden. Okay, it's talking about our memories or experience. Imagery, that's lines 21 to 22. Okay, so line 21 and 22 paint a word picture for us. We see in our mind's eye what the poet is actually talking about. Okay, flowers are pleasant in every circumstances. Flowers are presented at weddings, at birthdays, at anniversaries, and at funerals, flowers are presented. So flowers are there to calm our nerves and also to our sorrows as well. But in reality, there are no physical flowers, but emotional flowers that are being spoken about here. The next one is alliteration, which is the repetition of consonants. Now, when you look at these lines 23, 24, 25, you see the repetition of the we W consonant. So we wove a ref. So the repetition of the W consonant is there. So this is the use of alliteration. Then we have a refrain, which is a form of a chorus. Okay, it's a form of a chorus. So lines 5 and 6 says, you must have preferred it that way, would have preferred it that way. So this is like a chorus or a catchphrase. So that is the device there. Then the tone of the poet is one of sorrow. Okay, overall the poem is a dirge. It's a dirge. A dirge is a song sung for the dead or sung at funerals. We can also say the poem is a tribute to the dead. So the tone here is one of what? Sorrow, sadness. All too soon, we've come to the end of our lesson. I hope you enjoyed the poem. I hope you enjoyed the analysis made on the poem. And please, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so in order not to miss more engaging and exciting lessons like this. Thank you, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.